Throughout the centuries, one of the greatest questions that have challenged historians and spirituality scholars was, did the Knights Templar discover evidence about the true story of Jesus? Amid the shadows of the Middle Ages, a religious military order rose to power, amassing unimaginable wealth and winning the trust of kings and popes. But what made them so special? What was the secret that the Templars possessed that granted them so much prestige and influence? Rumors speak of something they found in the depths of Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem, a discovery so overwhelming that it could rewrite the very history of Christianity. But what was this revelation? An ancient document? The Holy Grail? Irrefutable proof that the story of Jesus was altered over the centuries? To understand this possibility, we need to go back to the year 1119, when a small group of knights, led by Hugh de Payan, made a sacred oath and established an order intended to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. However, there is something peculiar about the early years of this order. Unlike other military organizations, the Templars were not solely focused on war. They had exclusive access to the ruins of the ancient Temple of Solomon. For nearly a decade, they dug under the debris of that sacred place, which raises an intriguing question. What were they looking for? Historical documents suggest that, at the end of this period, the Templars left Jerusalem not only as warriors, but as bearers of a mysterious knowledge, a secret so powerful that it granted them unprecedented privileges in the history of the Church. Many theories suggest that the Templars may have found ancient records that challenge the traditional narratives about Jesus Christ. Some of these assumptions are linked to apocryphal documents, hidden gospels that could reveal an alternative version of Christ's life and teachings. These scriptures would have been banned by the early church and hidden over the centuries to prevent inconvenient information from surfacing. Did the Templars discover these texts and understand that the official version of Jesus' story was incomplete? The possibility that the order may have found records that put the dogmas of the Christian faith in check is something that still terrifies scholars and theologians today. But the influence of the Templars was not limited to occult knowledge only. After their meteoric rise, this order began to administer vast territories, create an innovative banking system, and accumulate power that even challenged the kings of the time. How did a military religious order gain such authority? Some researchers believe that the Templars had highly compromising information about the Church and its backstage, a trump card that allowed them to act independently and practically untouchable. Rumors said that the Templars had discovered something so impactful that the Vatican could never allow it to become public. And this raises a new question. If they really found something, where was this knowledge taken? The relationship between the Templars and the Catholic Church started extremely favorably, but over time, the alliance became fragile. The Vatican realized that the order was becoming too powerful and that it held secrets that could compromise the structure of the Christian faith. This would explain why, in 1307, the King of France, Philip IV, under the approval of Pope Clement V, initiated a devastating attack against the order. On a Friday the 13th, a date that still carries a dark symbolism, the Templars were arrested, tortured, and accused of heresy. But why was this offensive so sudden and brutal? Some theories suggest that the real objective of this persecution was to eliminate any trace of the secret knowledge that the Templars had acquired. Among the most disturbing accounts that emerged during this period were the forced confessions of members of the order. Some claim to have knowledge of secret rituals and esoteric symbols that referred to a forbidden truth. One of the most controversial theories suggests that the Templars had evidence that Jesus was not exactly the figure that the Church had constructed over the centuries. Some accounts indicate that documents protected by the order revealed that Jesus might have had direct descendants, which would give rise to a secret lineage that the Templars swore to protect at all costs. This idea, later popularized by books and movies, is supported by fragments of ancient texts and historical connections that point to something much larger than a simple conspiracy theory. Another mystery surrounding the Templars pertains to the sacred relics that were supposedly in their possession. There are records indicating that the order transported holy objects to secret hiding places, out of reach from the Church and European monarchies. One of these artifacts could be the Holy Grail itself, which, according to some versions, was not a chalice, but rather a metaphor for profound and forbidden knowledge. The idea that the Grail represented a secret about Christ's lineage gained strength over the centuries, feeding the myth that the Templars not only found this evidence, but hid it to protect a truth that could shake the structure of the Christian world. Furthermore, there are indications that the Templars had connections with secret societies and esoteric groups seeking to preserve hidden knowledge. Many historians believe that Freemasonry and other Hermetic orders were directly influenced by the teachings of the Templars. This means that, even after the official dissolution of the order, their legacy and secrets continued to be passed on through symbols, rituals, and silent alliances. But what exactly were they preserving? Was it just a set of mystical philosophies, or indeed a documented record of the true history of Jesus? The legend of the Templars continues to fascinate generations, not only for their power and influence, but for the possibility that they may have found something that could completely change our view of history. What was really hidden beneath the ruins of Solomon's Temple? Could the Templars have had access to manuscripts revealing secrets about the early years of Christianity? And what if this truth had been deliberately erased from history, leaving only fragments scattered among discrete societies and hidden manuscripts? What we know for certain is that the brutal persecution of the order was not just a political or financial matter. There was something bigger at stake. The churches and monarchies' fear of what the Templars might reveal suggests that the truth was much closer than we imagine. But if the order really found evidence of the true story of Jesus, the big question remains: where is this knowledge now? And this question leads us to the next chapter of this journey: the Holy Grail and the Forbidden Secrets. What did the Templars really know about this relic? And what if the Grail wasn't an object, but a revelation that could change everything we know? For centuries, the Holy Grail has been one of the greatest enigmas in history, inspiring everything from Arthurian legends to serious academic research. But what was it really? A sacred chalice used by Jesus at the Last Supper? A relic with mystical powers? Or something much deeper and more dangerous? Many believe that the Knights Templar not only found the Grail, but also discovered that its true nature was something far beyond a simple religious artifact. To some, the Grail was not an object, but rather hidden knowledge, a secret that, if revealed, would shake the foundations of Christianity and human history itself. The quest for the Holy Grail has always been linked to the Templars, as their order had exclusive access to sacred sites in Jerusalem, in addition to holding a vast amount of secret knowledge. Some theories suggest that they found ancient records that distort the traditional narrative about Jesus Christ. These documents could contain information about his true identity, his original teachings, and even evidence that he may have had descendants. For historians who follow this line of investigation, the Holy Grail would, in fact, be Christ's royal blood, the lineage of his descendants. This theory became famous through books like the Da Vinci Code, but the idea that Jesus might have had heirs dates back to much older texts. The Gnostic Gospels, for instance, mention a special relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, describing her as his closest companion. Some interpretations suggest that she was not just a faithful follower, but his wife and bearer of his lineage. The Templars, upon learning this, would have sworn to protect this lineage at any cost, creating a secret network to hide the truth from the world. But if the Holy Grail was not a physical object, why do so many legends speak of a chalice? The answer may lie in the metaphor. In many esoteric traditions, a chalice symbolizes the sacred womb, the source of life. If the Templars discovered that Jesus had children, the Grail could represent not a material artifact, but rather a bloodline, the genetic heritage of Christ that secretly survived throughout the centuries. If this theory is true, The revelation of this secret would be devastating to the Church, as it would directly challenge the idea that Jesus was a solitary divine figure, without earthly heirs, and would radically alter Christianity. In addition to the possibility of a secret lineage, an even more intriguing hypothesis suggests that the Templars found documents that debunked the official narrative about Jesus and his mission on Earth. These forbidden writings could reveal spiritual teachings completely different from what was established by the Church throughout history. Among the apocryphal texts discovered in the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi Gospels, there are passages that portray Jesus not as a divine Messiah, but as an enlightened master who taught self-knowledge and direct connection with God, without the need for a religious institution. This would challenge the entire power structure of organized Christianity. Given the possibility that such secrets were true, the Templars would have dedicated their existence to preserving and hiding this knowledge, guarding the records, and protecting those who were part of Christ's lineage. This would explain the absolute secrecy surrounding many of their activities, and the Church's fear regarding what they could reveal. If the Templars indeed possessed evidence of these forbidden truths, their brutal persecution by King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V could have been motivated by much more than just political or financial issues. Another intriguing aspect of this theory is the connection of the Templars with the mystical city of Rennes-le-Château in France. This small village became famous after the discovery of documents suggesting the existence of a secret lineage tracing back to Jesus. Some believe that the Templar order hid part of their secrets there, possibly including physical evidence of the true story of Christ. For centuries, rumors persist that the Knights left hidden clues in works of art, cathedrals, and even enigmatic monuments that could hold the key to this mystery. Another fascinating connection is found in the Cathedral of Chartres in France, one of the greatest architectural legacies of the Templars. Many researchers believe that the symbols carved into the cathedral walls contained secret messages about the Holy Grail and the esoteric knowledge that the order possessed. The presence of references to Mary Magdalene and certain biblical figures, not part of traditional Christianity, suggests that the Templars may have left clues about the true nature of the Grail. If the Grail were merely a chalice, the Church would have no reason to fear it. However, if it represented a truth that could topple the foundations of Christianity, the persecution of the Templars would make perfect sense. Centuries have passed, and to this day there are no definitive proofs about what the Templars really found. However, the connections between their order, the apocryphal texts, Mary Magdalene, and the concept of a Grail as a lost lineage continue to fuel investigations and theories. But if the Templars indeed possessed forbidden records about Jesus, what happened to these documents? During the violent repression of the order in the 14th century, many members managed to escape, taking with them secrets that could never fall into the hands of the Church. There are rumors that part of this knowledge ended up in Scotland, where the survivors helped establish esoteric traditions that would later influence Freemasonry. Others believe that the Templar archives were hidden in strategic locations, such as the Rosslyn Chapel, or even in underground caves in France and Spain. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The legacy of the Templars is deeply intertwined with mysteries that challenge the official history. If they truly discovered evidence of a hidden version of Jesus, this knowledge might still be somewhere, waiting to be revealed to the world. But until then, we continue with only fragments of clues and theories. The next question is, did the Templars have access to forbidden texts and documents that could change our view of Christianity? Many pieces of evidence point to the existence of lost manuscripts that could tell a different story about the origin of Christianity and Jesus' true teachings. And that's what we're going to explore in the next part. Lost manuscripts and the censored truth. Throughout history, a disturbing pattern repeats itself. When knowledge challenges established power, it is suppressed, destroyed, or distorted. This is exactly what happened to the ancient manuscripts that could reveal a different story about Jesus Christ and his teachings. But what was really written in these texts? Who hid them? And why was the Church so afraid of them? There is evidence that the Knights Templar had access to forbidden manuscripts, some of which could have completely changed the course of Christianity. To understand the importance of these documents, we need to go back to the beginning of the 12th century, when the Templars were sent to Jerusalem. For nearly a decade, the order established itself in the ruins of Solomon's Temple, where secret excavations were conducted. Reports indicate that the Knights found ancient manuscripts buried there, possibly hidden by early Jewish and Christian communities. These texts could contain information that contradicted the official version of Jesus' history, recording details that were deliberately erased over the centuries. But what would be the content of these documents? One of the main theories suggests that they could reveal a Jesus very different from the one we know. Instead of a divine figure, these texts might portray him as a revolutionary spiritual teacher, someone who taught a direct path to enlightenment without the need for an intermediary religious institution. This would explain why the early church made a point of censoring any text that challenged its narrative. The Templars, upon discovering these scriptures, would have become guardians of forbidden knowledge, a secret so dangerous that it made them inevitable targets of church persecution. Among the most intriguing documents that could have been found by the Templars are the apocryphal Gospels. These texts, written by followers of Jesus, offer an alternative view of his life and teachings. Many of these Gospels were rejected by the Church because they presented divergent interpretations of traditional Christian faith. One of the most controversial is the Gospel of Thomas, which suggests that the kingdom of God is not a distant place, but rather an internal reality that can be accessed through self-knowledge. This teaching goes against the hierarchical structure of the Church, which has always positioned itself as an intermediary between God and the faithful. Could the Templars have protected this wisdom? Another crucial text is the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which portrays Mary not only as a follower of Christ, but as his closest disciple and bearer of superior spiritual knowledge. Some passages from this Gospel suggest that Jesus imparted secret teachings to Mary that were not shared with the other apostles. This strengthens the theory that the Templars may have found records of a special relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, perhaps even evidence that she was his wife and mother of his descendants. If this were true, the Church would have every reason to suppress such documents, as they would reveal that the figure of Christ was shaped according to the interests of the religious institution. Another set of documents that could have been known by the Templars are the Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered only in the 20th century, but possibly accessible to secret societies much earlier than that. These texts, written by a Jewish sect known as the Essenes, carry mystical teachings that bear a strong resemblance to the words attributed to Jesus in the canonical Gospels. There are indications that Jesus may have had a connection with the Essenes, and that his teachings were influenced by this spiritual tradition. If the Templars found these manuscripts, they would have realized that the Church distorted the original teachings of Christ to suit its power structure. But if the Templars really had access to these documents, where did they go? When the order was brutally persecuted in the 14th century, many Templars managed to escape, taking with them their treasures and possibly the secret manuscripts. There are reports that these documents were taken to strategic locations, such as Scotland, the Iberian Peninsula, and even America, centuries before the official discoveries of the New World. Some theorists believe that Freemasonry inherited part of this Templar knowledge, and that its esoteric tradition is, in fact, an attempt to preserve these secrets over generations. One of the most mentioned places in the search for these documents is Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland, a monument shrouded in Templar symbolism. It is believed that this chapel may hide secret archives protected by the descendants of the Templars, including concrete evidence of an alternative history about Jesus. The complex patterns carved into the chapel's stone indicate a deep knowledge of sacred geometry, alchemy, and esoteric symbolism, suggesting that the truth was encoded to be discovered only by those who know how to decipher the hidden messages. But if the Church tried to suppress this knowledge, how could it have survived? The answer may lie in oral tradition and symbolism. Over the centuries, secret societies inherited the Templar teachings and transmitted them through rituals, allegories, and symbolic codes. This would explain why Templar symbols appear in unexpected places, such as Gothic cathedrals, Masonic structures, and even historical documents protected by esoteric orders. The destruction of the Templars by King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V may have been merely the final blow in a larger plan to silence an inconvenient truth. If the Templars truly found evidence contradicting the official version of Jesus' history, it was absolutely essential for the Church to ensure this knowledge was eradicated. However, the persecution only strengthened the mystery. If the documents were destroyed, why has the Church's fear never disappeared? Even today, the search for these manuscripts continues. In the Vatican's secret libraries, in unexplored caves of the Middle East, and in hidden archives of discreet societies, there may be fragments of the true story of Christ waiting to be revealed. If the Templars truly possessed this truth, they may have found a way to hide it so well that to this day, it has not been fully discovered. But the big question remains. If the Templars possessed this knowledge, why didn't they reveal it to the world? Perhaps the answer lies in the power of the institutions that dominated the Middle Ages. Who would dare to challenge the Church and the European kings without suffering brutal consequences? History shows that those who tried to reveal inconvenient secrets were persecuted, silenced, or killed. The destruction of the Templars was not just an attack against a powerful military order, it was an attack against knowledge, against a possible revelation that could have changed the fate of humanity. And this leads us to the next question. Were the Templars truly exterminated, or has their influence survived in secret societies that continue to protect this knowledge to this day? This is what we will explore in the next section, the pursuit and fall of the Templars. The Order of the Knights Templar was, undoubtedly, one of the most powerful organizations of the Middle Ages. In less than 2 centuries, the Templars went from a small group of warrior monks to lords of vast territories, bankers to kings, and holders of secrets that could threaten the very structure of the Catholic Church. But this meteoric rise would soon become the reason for their downfall. What caused one of the most influential and feared military orders in history to be destroyed in such a brutal manner? And what was the true motive behind the relentless persecution they suffered? On October 13th, 1307, a Friday that would be etched into history, King Philip IV of France ordered the arrest of all the Templars on French soil. This date would become the symbol of bad luck that persists to this day. With the approval of Pope Clement V, the French monarch sent his soldiers to arrest the knights on charges of heresy, idolatry, blasphemy, and dark practices. But were these crimes real or just a pretext for a political and financial coup? To understand the true reason for this persecution, it is necessary to analyze the relationship between the Templars and the French monarchy. Philip IV was deeply in debt to the Order of the Templars, which functioned as a banking institution for many European kingdoms. The knights controlled a sophisticated financial network, loaned money to kings, and held wealth in their temple fortresses. The King of France, desperate for money, realized that eliminating the Templars would be a way to erase his debts and, at the same time, take possession of their assets. But there was something beyond greed involved. The Templars guarded secrets that could shake the foundations of Christianity. The persecution began with mass arrests, followed by tortures to extract confessions. The Templars were accused of secret rituals, worship of mysterious idols, and occult practices. During the interrogations, under intense torture, some knights confessed to performing unknown rituals, including ceremonial kisses and the worship of a sacred head known as Baphomet. This enigmatic figure would become, centuries later, one of the most controversial symbols of occultism. However, most historians believe that these confessions were extracted under torture and do not necessarily reflect the truth. If the Templars performed secret rituals, what was the real purpose of these ceremonies? Many believe that the Templars were persecuted not for heresy, but for possessing secret knowledge that threatened the Church and the monarchy. Their connections with mysticism, Gnosticism, and even Eastern religions raised suspicions that they had discovered hidden truths about the Christian faith. If the Knights had access to forbidden documents that contradicted the official version of Jesus' history, the Vatican would have every reason to destroy them before this knowledge spread. The destruction of the Templars was carefully planned. The Inquisition, led by the Pope, collaborated with the French king to crush the order. The Templars' assets were confiscated, their properties taken, and their leaders brought to trial. The final blow came in 1312, when Pope Clement V officially dissolved the Order of the Templars, succumbing to the pressure of the French king. However, the mystery of the Templars' downfall does not end here. If the order was destroyed, where did their secrets and treasures go? Records indicate that just before Philip IV's offensive, a large number of Templars managed to escape, taking with them valuable relics and documents. It is believed that Templar ships left France and headed towards unknown destinations. Some theories suggest that the Templar fleet may have reached Scotland, where they found refuge with Scottish nobles discontented with papal rule. Others assert that the Knights fled to the Iberian Peninsula and assisted in the formation of new military orders, such as the Order of Christ in Portugal, which would later finance major voyages and the discovery of new lands. Another even bolder theory suggests that the Templars might have crossed the Atlantic Ocean centuries before Columbus, establishing secret bases on the American continent. Some archaeological evidence indicates Templar symbols in regions of North America, fueling the hypothesis that the Knights might have taken their secrets to a new world. If this theory is true, it would mean that the secrets the Templars protected could still be hidden somewhere, out of the reach of the Church and the European monarchy. But not all the Templars met such a mysterious fate. The last Grand Master of the Order, Jacques de Molay, was captured and sentenced to death in 1314. Before being burned alive at the stake on the Isle of the Jews in Paris, Molay allegedly cast a curse against Pope Clement V and King Philip IV, stating that both would soon die and be called to account before God. Mysteriously, both the Pope and the King passed away a few months later, which only further fueled the legends surrounding the Templars and their hidden power. But what remained of the Templars after their destruction? The answer may lie in the secret societies that emerged in the following centuries. Freemasonry, for example, has symbols and rituals that directly refer to the Templars. This suggests that part of the order's knowledge was preserved and transmitted through closed circles, far from the eyes of the Church and the monarchy. If this is true, it means that the Templar secret was never really lost. It just started to be protected by other hands. The destruction of the Templars did not erase the mystery surrounding them. On the contrary, the order has become one of the greatest legends in history, inspiring everything from conspiracy theories to modern spiritual movements. But the big question remains unanswered. What exactly did the Templars discover that made them so dangerous they had to be exterminated? Had they found concrete evidence that the story of Jesus was altered? And if so, is this knowledge still hidden somewhere? If there's something we know for sure, it's that the Templars' secret knowledge didn't disappear with their destruction. There is evidence that their teachings were absorbed by occult societies that continue to protect the Order's legacy. But what were these secrets? Were they only tied to esoteric rituals, or was there something much larger at stake? The answer may lie in the symbols, codes, and hidden messages left by the Templars throughout history. Gothic cathedrals, encoded manuscripts, and even modern monuments bear clues about the true Templar legacy. And that's what we're going to explore in the next part. The Templar Code, hidden secrets in symbols and architecture. Since the collapse of the Knights Templar, much speculation has arisen about where their knowledge and sacred relics ended up. However, there is a fascinating clue that may reveal the whereabouts of their hidden legacy, the symbols and architectural works they left scattered around the world. It is believed that, even after their persecution, the Templars managed to hide secret messages in structures such as Gothic cathedrals, fortresses, and even in encrypted manuscripts. But what do these messages reveal? Could the Templars have encoded information about the true history of Jesus and his possible forbidden legacy? To understand this possibility, we need to go back to the construction of the great Gothic cathedrals of Europe. During the 12th and 13th centuries, while the Templars were at the height of their power, monumental structures such as the Chartres Cathedral, Notre Dame Cathedral, and Reims Cathedral emerged. These churches have a unique architectural style, laden with mystical symbolism and geometric patterns that refer to hidden knowledge. But what few people know is that many of these constructions were financed and designed with the help of the Templars. What were they trying to encode in these buildings? One of the greatest mysteries is the Chartres Cathedral in France, considered one of the most enigmatic works of Gothic architecture. Its design does not follow conventional standards and seems to conceal esoteric messages linked to the secret knowledge of the Templars. Some researchers believe that its stone labyrinth on the floor symbolizes a spiritual journey, and that its geometric structure was built based on the golden ratio, a mathematical concept present in various forms of nature and which, according to esoteric traditions, represents the signature of divine creation. Moreover, there are records that, at some point, this cathedral housed a mysterious underground vault where Templar documents or even sacred relics would be hidden. Another place associated with the mystery of the Templars is the Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland. Built in the 15th century, this chapel boasts an impressive array of esoteric symbols, many of which originate from Templar tradition. Among the chapel's sculptures and ornaments, there are depictions of plants native to the Americas, even though it was built before Columbus's official discovery of the continent. This leads some scholars to believe that the Templars were already familiar with the New World centuries before the Great Voyages. Could they have hidden Templar secrets and relics there? In addition to architecture, there is another fundamental aspect to understanding the Templar secrets: the symbols. Throughout history, the Templars have been associated with various emblems and icons that carry hidden meanings. The most famous of these is the Templar cross, a red cross on a white background, which represents the purity and divine mission of the order. However, there are other lesser-known symbols, such as the pentagram, the number 8, and the fleur-de-lis, which appear in various locations linked to the Templars. But what do these symbols really mean? One of the most controversial symbols associated with the Templars is the mysterious figure of Baphomet. During the interrogations conducted by the Inquisition, some Templars confessed that they worshipped a figure called Baphomet, described as a mysterious head. But what was this figure? Many believe that Baphomet was not a demonic entity, as the Church tried to portray, but rather a symbol of hidden knowledge and spiritual enlightenment. Some theories suggest that the Templars might have learned mystical secrets from Eastern cultures during the Crusades, and that Baphomet represented a code for this forbidden knowledge. Another element that consistently appears in locations associated with the Templars is the concept of sacred geometry. Templar structures, such as castles and churches, were designed following geometric principles that hark back to ancient mathematical and spiritual knowledge. The number 8, for instance, often appears in Templar architecture, symbolizing renewal and eternity. This suggests that the Templars were not just constructing religious or military buildings. They were encoding messages into their structures, which only those with the appropriate knowledge could decipher. But if the Templars really left hidden messages in their architecture and symbols, what were they trying to conceal? One of the most intriguing theories suggests that these constructions were a way to preserve knowledge about the true history of Jesus and his lineage. If the Templars indeed found evidence that Jesus had descendants, this would have been the greatest secret in the history of Christianity, and the only way to protect it would be to encode it in forms that could not be easily destroyed. In addition to cathedrals and chapels, there is evidence that the Templars also left clues in ancient maps and secret manuscripts. Some documents indicate that the Knights had a deep understanding of navigation, and that they possessed maps revealing unknown lands. This reinforces the theory that the Templars might have traveled to the American continent long before the official arrival of the Europeans. But what were they looking for? Could it have been a refuge to hide their secrets? Or perhaps a sacred place where they stored their most important treasures and documents? There is also a strong connection between the Templars and Freemasonry. Modern Freemasonry has inherited many of the Templar symbols and rituals, suggesting that the knowledge of the order never completely disappeared. Many of the Masonic temples around the world feature symbols identical to those found in Templar locations, indicating that a part of the order's legacy has been preserved within these secret societies. This means that the Templar mysteries may still be alive today, hidden beneath layers of symbolism and occult traditions. If the Templars truly encoded their secrets in symbols and architecture, is there a chance that these secrets can still be deciphered? Some scholars believe that by studying the geometric patterns, hidden numbers, and carved details in cathedrals and chapels, we can find clues that lead us to the truth about the Templar legacy. What are these buildings trying to tell us? Could they be indicating the location of sacred documents? Or are they merely silent tributes to forbidden knowledge? The fact is, if the Templars hid evidence of the true story of Jesus, it may be coded in places we look at every day, but never knew how to interpret. But the question that arises now is, were these secrets just tied to symbolic messages, or could they be related to something even more astonishing? A sacred lineage that has survived throughout the centuries. And this leads us to the next question, the lost lineage of Jesus, myth or reality? If the Templars found evidence that Jesus had descendants, where is this lineage now? And what would be the implications of this for the modern world? If there is a mystery capable of shaking the foundations of Christian faith, it is the possibility that Jesus Christ may have left descendants. The idea that he might have had a family and a direct lineage is a theme that spans centuries, involving apocryphal gospels, secret societies, and the very Knights Templar themselves. But is this just a theory, or is there real evidence? Did the Templars discover records that proved this lineage, and if so, what was the fate of this royal blood? The theory of a sacred lineage of Jesus primarily emerges from Gnostic Gospels, such as the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, an apocryphal text that suggests a much more intimate relationship between Mary Magdalene and Jesus than the version accepted by the Church. Unlike the canonical Gospels, this document portrays Magdalene as the closest disciple of Christ, the one who understood his deepest teachings and who, according to some interpretations, could have been his wife. This would completely change the traditional Church's view on the nature of Jesus. But there are more indications. The Gospel of Philip, another apocryphal text, explicitly mentions that Jesus loved Mary Magdalene more than the other disciples and called her his koinonos, a Greek word that can be translated as companion or even wife. Furthermore, there are passages in this gospel that indicate the disciples were bothered by the closeness between the two, suggesting that Magdalene might have had a much more significant role than the Church has admitted throughout history. If this relationship truly existed, the big question that arises is, did Jesus and Mary Magdalene have children? Some theories suggest that, after the crucifixion, Magdalene fled to the south of France, where she would have found refuge among groups already following primitive Christianity, and she could have brought with her a child, the direct descendant of Christ. During the Middle Ages, the belief emerged that the Merovingian dynasty, which ruled France between the 5th and 8th centuries, could be descended from this sacred lineage. If this is true, it would mean that the Holy Grail was not an object, but rather royal blood, the genetic legacy of Jesus. But where do the Templars fit into this story? There is evidence that the order discovered and protected this secret over the centuries. As guardians of the sacred relics and holders of forbidden knowledge, the Templars could have found records that prove the existence of this lineage and taken on the mission to protect it. This would explain why the order had so much power and influence, in addition to the fear it aroused in the Church. If the Templars knew that the official history of Jesus was incomplete or manipulated, they held a secret that could completely change the fate of Christianity. Some legends suggest that the Priory of Sion, a secret society that supposedly existed since the Middle Ages, was an organization dedicated to the protection of this sacred lineage. There are indications that the Templars could be connected to this brotherhood, working to preserve and hide the identity of Christ's descendants throughout history. Many believe that this mission continued even after the destruction of the Templars, being maintained by discreet societies and esoteric circles. But there is more than just legends. During the Crusades, the Templars were in contact with various spiritual traditions of the Middle East, including Gnostic sects that had alternative views on Jesus and his lineage. If the Knights had access to documents or accounts that confirmed this lineage, they could have devised a strategy to protect these descendants and ensure that their blood remained hidden from the Church. This could be one of the explanations for the fierce persecution they suffered. The Templars were dangerous because they knew something that could not be revealed. What is even more intriguing is that this theory has not faded over time. Throughout the centuries, different groups have claimed to possess fragments of this hidden knowledge. Freemasonry, for example, inherited many symbols and rituals from the Templars, and some believe that part of this secret was passed down through the highest degrees of this society. The Vatican itself may still hold records about this lineage, locked away in its secret archives. If this information were to come to light, what would be the consequences for the Christian faith? But there's an even more intriguing question. Does this lineage still exist today? If there really were descendants of Jesus, their heirs could be alive, scattered around the world without even knowing their origins. Some researchers believe that certain European aristocratic families preserve traces of this lineage, and there are theories that this descent was discreetly maintained within closed circles of nobility. This would explain some royal lineages' obsession with blood purity and their connection to secret societies. Another fascinating detail is the connection of this theory with the legend of King Arthur and the Holy Grail. Many believe that the quest for the Grail, so central in Arthurian tales, was not about a physical chalice, but rather about the search for Christ's sacred lineage. The very name Holy Grail, Sangrail, could be interpreted differently, Sangreal, which means royal blood. This would reinforce the idea that the Templars were involved in protecting this lineage, ensuring that it remained hidden from the Church and external threats. If the Templars truly protected the sacred lineage of Jesus, where is it today? And more importantly, if this truth were revealed, what would happen to the Church and the history of Christianity? This is the big question that still echoes in the corridors of the Templar mystery. If there is something we know, it's that the Templars disappeared from official history, but not from the memory of secret societies. If their knowledge truly survived, it might be stored in hidden documents, protected by groups that still preserve the legacy of the Knights today. But the question remains, were the Templars truly extinct, or does their influence continue to live, silent and hidden in societies that have inherited their legacy? And this leads us to the next chapter of this journey, the final fate of the Templars and their secrets. What happened to those who escaped persecution? Did they truly disappear or find a new way to exist? And could their secrets still be hidden somewhere? October 13th, 1307 marked the beginning of the official destruction of the Knights Templar. But did the order really disappear? History tells us that under the orders of King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V, the Templars were arrested, tortured, and executed. Their assets were seized, their castles invaded, and their properties divided among other religious orders. But there's a disturbing detail. Part of the Templars simply vanished. Some were captured and killed, but many escaped without a trace, taking with them secrets that could change the course of history. Where did they go? And what happened to the knowledge they protected? There are various theories about what might have happened to the Templars who managed to escape persecution. One of the most accepted suggests that many of them found refuge in Scotland, where they were welcomed by Scottish nobles who were already in conflict with the Vatican and the English king Edward II. There is evidence that, in 1314, at the Battle of Bannockburn, a mysterious group of knights helped the Scottish army defeat the English. Some historians suggest that these warriors were exiled Templars who used their military knowledge to secure the Scottish victory. Another intriguing theory suggests that the Templars infiltrated other military orders, such as the Order of Christ in Portugal. King D. Dinas, who refused to persecute the Templars, simply renamed the order and allowed its members to continue their activities under a new identity. This implies that the Templars survived in the Portuguese kingdom, aiding in future maritime explorations and the expansion of the Portuguese Empire. If this theory holds true, it means that the Templar legacy not only survived, but played a crucial role in the discovery of new lands. But there's an even bigger mystery. What happened to the Templar treasure? The order was immensely wealthy, possessing vast deposits of gold, lands, and valuable relics. However, when King Philip IV ordered the confiscation of their assets, a large part of this treasure simply vanished. Reports suggest that, on the night before the mass arrests, a fleet of Templar ships left from the port of La Rochelle, France, carrying a mysterious large cargo. Where did these ships go? Some hypotheses suggest that the Templars took their treasure to Scotland, while others indicate that they sailed to unknown lands, possibly even to the American continent. This reinforces the theory that the Templars could have reached America centuries before Columbus. Templar marks and symbols have been found in ruins and caves in North America, which raises the possibility that they may have established secret colonies where they hid their knowledge and wealth. Another possibility is that part of the Templar treasure may have been hidden inside cathedrals and churches built under their influence. There are theories that the Chartres Cathedral and Rosslyn Chapel contain underground crypts full of the order's secrets. Some researchers believe that hidden documents, relics, and even records of the true history of Jesus may be concealed in these locations, protected by symbolic codes that only those with the right knowledge can decipher. But what happened to the Templars as an organization? Many historians believe that, although the order was officially dissolved, its members simply changed their identity and continued their activities in secret. There is strong evidence that Freemasonry inherited many of the rituals and symbols of the Templars. Several Masonic documents make direct reference to the Templar tradition, and some Masonic lodges claim to be the true guardians of the order's lost knowledge. This means that the Templars never really disappeared. They just became part of a secret structure that exists to this day. Another fascinating aspect is that, even after its official destruction, the Templar influence continued to manifest itself in significant historical events. During the French Revolution, for example, many revolutionaries were members of the Freemasonry and used symbols linked to the Templars. This suggests that the spirit of the Templars survived in secret societies that helped shape the course of history. But there is an even more intriguing question. What if the Vatican still holds secrets about the Templars? For centuries, the Church tried to suppress knowledge of the order, but there are rumors that Templar documents were never destroyed. They were just hidden in the Vatican's secret archives. If this is true, what is the Church afraid the world will discover? Would it just be the order's administrative records, or are there documents that could radically change the view on the Christian faith in Jesus? Another enigma is the mysterious Chinon parchment, discovered in the Vatican archives in 2001. This document revealed that Pope Clement V, in secret, absolved the Templars of heresy charges before their official destruction. This raises a fundamental question. If the Templars were innocent, why did the Church allow their annihilation? This document suggests that the Vatican was under intense political pressure and may have destroyed the order to protect an even greater secret. If the Templars really found documents that contradicted the official version of Christianity, where are these records now? Some theories suggest that modern secret societies have inherited this knowledge and keep it hidden to this day. Are these societies responsible for preserving the secret lineage of Jesus? Or are they simply protecting a spiritual knowledge that has not yet been revealed to the world? The final fate of the Templars remains one of the greatest mysteries in history. All indications are that they were not completely destroyed. They simply began to operate in the shadows. Their beliefs, their secrets, and their knowledge survive through codes, symbols, and societies that carry their legacy to this day. But the big question remains: if this knowledge is revealed, what will happen to the world as we know it? The Templars may have vanished from official history, but their influence still resonates in the hidden circles of power, in the mysterious monuments they left behind, and in the esoteric traditions that have spread around the world. Their secrets are still out there, waiting to be discovered. And this leads us to the next part of this journey: the impact of the Templars in the modern world. How did the Order influence historical events after its supposed destruction? And what are the signs of its presence today? Even though the Knights Templar were officially destroyed in the 14th century, their influence never completely disappeared. On the contrary, their legacy spread through secret societies, hidden symbolism, and even political and economic institutions that still shape the modern world. But how did a military and religious order, extinct for centuries, manage to leave such deep marks on our society? Were the Templars really exterminated, or did they simply assume a new identity, operating in the shadows to this day? To understand the Templar presence in the modern world, it is necessary to observe the secret societies that inherited their teachings, their symbols, and even their hierarchical structure. The main example is Freemasonry. Many researchers believe that, after the Templar persecution, several members of the order found refuge in Scotland, where they directly influenced the creation of Scottish Freemasonry. Freemasonry inherited a large part of the Templar rituals, codes, and symbology, preserving their knowledge under layers of mystery. Within the Masonic structure, the Knight Templar degree still exists as one of the highest degrees of the order. Masons of this level claim to be the guardians of Templar knowledge and the hidden truths that the Church tried to suppress. This means that the Templars never completely disappeared. They simply continued their mission discreetly, transmitting their knowledge through initiatory societies. But what was this knowledge? Was it just a spiritual philosophy, or is there something much deeper being guarded? Another fascinating aspect is the impact of the Templars on the modern economy. The banking structure created by the Templars in the 12th century, which allowed money transfers between different territories, was one of the first international financial systems. This directly influenced the emergence of modern banks, which use principles similar to those the Templars developed. Moreover, some of the world's largest financial institutions use symbols inspired by Templar iconography, suggesting that their influence has never been completely erased. But there's something even more intriguing: the Templar connections to political power. Many world leaders throughout history have been members of discrete societies that consider themselves heirs to the Templars. The French Revolution, for example, was driven by Masonic ideals that carried elements of Templar philosophy. This suggests that the order may have influenced political and social changes over the centuries, using secret societies as vehicles to maintain their presence in the world. Another evidence of the Templars' impact on the modern world is the symbolism they left behind on monuments and historical structures. Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland is one of the most notable examples, filled with Templar symbols and inscriptions suggesting a hidden knowledge transmitted over the centuries. Moreover, numerous governmental buildings and famous monuments around the world feature elements inspired by Templar architecture. The presence of obelisks, six-pointed stars, and sacred geometries in structures such as the United States Capitol and Notre Dame Cathedral could be a sign that the Templars continue to influence the corridors of power. But perhaps the most controversial connection between the Templars and the modern world lies in the obsession of occult groups with their legacy. Organizations such as the Illuminati and other secret societies have always shown great interest in the Templars, which raises questions about their true role in human history. Are these societies merely drawing inspiration from the Templars, or have they inherited some of their forbidden knowledge? What is even more surprising is that the Vatican has never officially declared that the Templars were guilty of the charges made against them in the 14th century. On the contrary, documents such as the Chinon parchment, discovered in 2001, prove that Pope Clement V himself knew that the Templars were innocent. This suggests that the destruction of the order was a purely political act, motivated by the fear that they would reveal secrets capable of destabilizing the Church. If the Vatican is aware of the Templars' survival in other forms, why has this secret never been revealed? Another intriguing issue is the impact of the Templar legacy on popular culture. Books, movies, and documentaries continue to delve into the mysteries of this order, suggesting that there is a global interest in uncovering what really happened to the Templars and their secrets. But what if the truth is still hidden? And what if discreet societies still preserve forbidden records, waiting for the right moment to reveal what really happened to Jesus, the Holy Grail, and the sacred lineage? The Templar presence in the modern world may be subtle, but it is undeniable. Their symbols are everywhere, their philosophies still influence discrete societies, and their history continues to fuel theories about global conspiracies. But there is one last question that needs to be asked. What if the Templars never intended to reveal their secrets? What if the truth about Jesus, the Grail, and the sacred lineage was deliberately hidden because the world was not, and still is not, ready for it? This leads us to the final part of this journey. If the Templars really discovered the truth about Jesus, what would be the impact of this revelation in today's world? What would happen if, all of a sudden, this information came to light? Would Christianity survive intact? Would the global power structure be shaken? Or would this truth completely change our view on spirituality and human history? This is the big question we will explore in the last part. What if the truth were revealed? What would happen to the world? For centuries, the secrets of the Knights Templar have been guarded, hidden in the shadows, and preserved by discreet societies. But what if suddenly everything was revealed? If the concealed documents, the forbidden manuscripts, and the evidence about Jesus' lineage and the true meaning of the Holy Grail came to light, would the world remain the same? Or would we be facing the greatest cultural, spiritual, and political shock in human history? The first major consequence of a revelation of this magnitude would be the impact on Christianity and all religions that are based on the figure of Jesus Christ. If it were proven that Jesus had descendants, that his original message was distorted, or that the Church intentionally hid certain truths, what would happen to the faith of billions of people around the world? The power structure of the Vatican would be irreversibly shaken. Many faithful might lose confidence in the religious institution, while others might seek a more spiritual and less dogmatic interpretation of Christ's teachings. But the impact wouldn't just be religious. The political and economic world would also face an unprecedented collapse. If documents proved that secret societies, governments, and powerful institutions had always known about the sacred lineage and worked to hide it, the discredit in authorities could lead to global revolutions. The pillars that uphold the current control system, whether they are religious, political, or financial, could crumble in the face of the knowledge that the history we've been told was manipulated to serve specific interests. Another crucial point would be the effect of this revelation on the secret societies that still operate in the modern world. If the Templars, or those who inherited their secrets, have been guarding this information for centuries, what would be their reaction to a public revelation? Would these societies be the ones responsible for bringing the truth to light, or would they continue to conceal it to protect their own interests? Freemasonry, the Vatican, esoteric orders, and even political groups that maintain a connection with the Templar legacy could face a dilemma. Release the truth and risk global chaos, or continue to keep this knowledge secret? But beyond the social and political consequences, there is an even deeper effect that needs to be analyzed. the spiritual and psychological impact of this discovery on humanity. If the evidence about the true history of Jesus and the Holy Grail were revealed, we could be facing one of the greatest spiritual awakenings in history. This is because the revelation that the divine could be within us, and not just in a religious institution, would completely change the way humanity perceives its own existence. The world would go through a revolution of consciousness, where spirituality would no longer be linked to fear, sin, or guilt, but rather to self-knowledge and direct connection with the universe. The problem is that a transformation of this magnitude would be seen as a threat to those who profit from controlling the masses. If the Templar secrets are indeed about knowledge capable of freeing humanity from the shackles of fear and spiritual submission, then those who hold this power would do everything to ensure that this truth is never revealed. After all, an awakened, aware, and connected people with their true essence cannot be manipulated as easily. But what if, instead of a global collapse, this revelation brought about a new era of enlightenment and knowledge? If Jesus' lineage truly exists and has been protected for centuries, then this truth could serve as a powerful symbol of humanity's unification. After all, if the greatest spiritual figure of the West had descendants and was portrayed differently than we were taught, then perhaps the entire history of humanity needs to be rewritten. Furthermore, the very concept of the Holy Grail could gain a new meaning. If the quest for the Grail has always been interpreted as an external journey, the search for a chalice, a sacred artifact, or a divine object, this revelation could show that the true quest has always been internal. The Grail could be a symbol of hidden knowledge, spiritual enlightenment, and the ability of each human being to find divinity within themselves. The biggest dilemma of this revelation, however, is the world ready for this truth? Or does humanity still need to mature before accepting that many of the narratives we follow may have been shaped to keep us in a state of ignorance? This is the major question that those who possess this knowledge need to face. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The Templars did not disappear without a trace. Their knowledge survived through symbols, discrete societies, and mysterious monuments that still hold secrets waiting to be deciphered. And perhaps sooner or later, the world will be ready to learn what the Templars truly discovered. The big question now is, will this revelation be made by those who guard it, or will it be discovered by those who dare to question and seek the truth? The history of the Knights Templar continues to echo in the present, because it is not just about a military and religious order from the past, it's about a puzzle that has not yet been fully solved. The Templars may have been persecuted and extinct, but their marks are everywhere. In the architecture of the great cathedrals, in the rituals of discrete societies, in the modern banking structure, and in the mysteries surrounding Christianity. Your secrets may still be hidden in underground crypts, in ancient manuscripts, and even in the symbols we see every day without realizing their true meaning. But perhaps the greatest secret is not in a document or a physical relic. Maybe what the Templars really discovered is a spiritual knowledge capable of freeing humanity from the chains of fear and manipulation. The truth is waiting. The question is, who will have the courage to seek it? And now, mind unfettered, I want to know your opinion. After all we've explored about the Templars and the secrets that may still be hidden today, tell me. If you had the chance to uncover a forbidden historical secret, one that could change the world, would you reveal this truth or keep it hidden? Comment below, because every thought shared here strengthens our collective pursuit of knowledge. And remember, when many minds come together on the same frequency, the truth has the power to manifest. So, leave your comment now, because together we create this energy of discovery. But the journey isn't over yet. What if Jesus' deepest teachings had been hidden? And what if they could transform the way we perceive reality? In the next video, we'll delve into the hidden code of Sinai, the lost teaching of Jesus that could change the world, revealing forgotten secrets that could change everything. Click on the screen now and continue this journey with me.